of all, I want to say thanks to Sam and Inverted Popes for the kind words right off the bat. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of do a little thing. This is a little bit of a celebration thing for the fact that I hit 100 subs here on YouTube, which I want to say thanks again to everybody who subscribed. I know this was like a couple weeks ago that this happened, but I've just been stupidly busy. So in the meantime, I've like not had a chance to actually do anything about it, at least not anything really thought through. So I'm gonna make some music. I'm gonna talk a little bit about also sorry, my bedroom looks a mess in the background. I got home from work and have not had a chance to do anything with it. Ignore it. But yeah, I'm just gonna kind of make some music and maybe talk about stuff that's coming up in the future, and just kind of talk through kind of where I'm at with some of that stuff, because there is the next video I have coming out, I kind of I have some thoughts about that, but we'll get to that later, because for now, I'm just gonna make some music. If anybody wants to say anything in the chat, ask any questions about anything, feel free, because I'm here for that. Also, I'm sorry if you hear jingling and noises in the background. It's not my cat's dinner time, but they sure think it is. absolutely. I'll kind of talk through what I'm running this all through. So in the case right now, I guess so the case has pretty much kind of been the same. There's been since I started, there's been one change really in the whole thing, which was at a point I had a quantizer. I still have it. It's just not in the case. It's the IntelliGel scales. It was a quantizer and a sequence. It has a sequencer in it, which is actually super useful. And so I was using that for a bit, but I kind of decided to let it all go to one thing. So let's just read from left to right. And I'll do the top row afterwards because that's mostly boring utility stuff, except for one thing, which I'm excited about. But yeah. So first things first is we have the module I cannot live without, and that's the Mutable Instruments Marbles. It is so great. I love it. It is all of my gate trigger information. It's all my pitch information. It's got a random CV that can be controlled in a bunch of different ways, and I love because it's a random machine, and it has internal quantization. It has different ways to select how that the random notes fall within the quantization, and it has you can put in as much or as little randomness. You can basically lock loops of things, which makes it into I don't know, it makes it feel more like a planned out sequence than a totally random thing. And then, or you can let it totally be free, and it's great. Next up in the case is the Clep Diaz LFO by Noise Engineering. It's a good module. I'm going to say it's probably out of the ones in the case, probably not my number one favorite, just because I have to clock it. And it's it's got an interesting shape to it, so it's really cool modulation. It's definitely intended for more kind of heavy-handed, either stepped modulation or really intense. Obviously a lot of the Noise Engineering stuff is really intense industrial sounds, so this is really built for that, but it is still pretty darn useful, especially in this small of a case. I wanted the DivKid Oct, but I can never find them in stock, so I got this instead. And it's not my favorite module in the case, but I still use it all the time, and I like how you can basically attenuate it from the module itself. With a case this small, being able to if you're not going to use the full extent of that LFO, it's great to just attenuate it from the source and free up some of that room there. Next is the ALM Busy Circuits Pip Slope, and I love this. It's an envelope generator, and it has these really snappy envelopes where it you can see I have it cycling right now. You can see, I think, that red light flashing there, and so you can get these really intense kind of traditional techno-y acid-based style things. But I also I use it sometimes as an envelope generator, sometimes I use it as an LFO because you can run it super slow and just modulate things. It's great. It's super, super useful, and I don't know, I just love running sending it to my VCA gate on a note, and I also love sending it to my filter, and just getting that kind of traditional synth voice sound, which maybe I'll plug into this patch later, but I don't think it really needs that right now. Next up I have a 2 HP dual VCA, which shocker here, in my generative ambient case, I only have 2 VCAs. I want more, but I mainly just use attenuators or attenuverters, just because of how limited I am on space. I couldn't really fit much more in the realm of VCA into the case, but that's fine, in my opinion. I use them both usually, and I could probably do with switching out this next module for another dual VCA, but it works for now. It works with, it's DC coupled, so it takes audio and CV, so that's great. Next one is a 2HP ADSR. I don't really use it that much because I use the pip slope more often, but every now and then I do throw it on. I know, right? Only 2 VCAs, it's terrible. So I'm probably at some point going to take this out of the case and put another thing of VCAs in there. I'm just super limited on the space, and most of the things that I like and that are like the most important to me are like super big in the case. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I'll probably switch out the ADSR for another dual VCA there. Next up is the Dixie oscillator. I love it. It is exactly what it is. It is just meat and potatoes. It is a bunch of different waveforms, a bunch of different, you know, ways you can tweak stuff coming into it or coming out of it. It's super great. Actually, you know what? I am going to patch something. I'm going to just, you know, do a little, because I have it just doing a drone right now, and I'll just throw in I'll use the pip slope for some frequency modulation and make a little vibrato on it. There it is. It's like perfect, like just the tiniest amount of whatever happening, and that just gives a little bit more motion to it. Next up is the WMD Steady State Fate collaboration module, which is the multi-mode filter. I really like it because it's small, and two, it basically has this FM level thing, which is like a built-in sort of like attenuator for what you would normally feed into a filter. So you can do that, and then also you basically have different ways to control the filter cutoff, and you can control it kind of 2 times at once, which is super nice. Yeah, it's small. It goes into self-oscillation, so you can use it as an oscillator, which I do all the time. Yeah, it's great. And then my favorite module is the IntelliGel Plonk, because it just does things really well. It's, if anybody doesn't know, it's a physical modeling thing, so it's making the bell noises right now. But a thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about for it is it has a really nice built-in like saturation distortion sound. I think I have it actually tied to no, I have that one tied to position and low pass cutoff. Whatever, I need to tweak this setting so I can have that on like a thing in the moment. It just saturates super well and just gets messy and dirty, but like it sounds a lot like when I would run signals hot into like a tape machine, like an old tape machine preamp. It just kind of breaks up in that nice way. I'll actually menu dive and just kind of play around with that for a minute. Just super dirty sounding, and like it, but like because of the physical modeling, like it really like squashes it in a really nice way, and like so you can like really it really crushes down on the hard transients, but then as it like fades away, it does that thing that I really like about like an actual tape machine. So that's great. And then at the end of the chain, I have my effects module, which is a microclouds, and it's great. Emily designs amazing modules. For those who don't know, it's Mutable Instruments clouds, but just in a tiny case. So yeah, I really like it. It was like one of those first modules that I got, and like I remember playing around with it in VCV Rack, and like I know it's like a cliche to use clouds, but like there's a reason it's a cliche. It's because it's a goddamn good module. So yeah, that's basically the module. Then I actually now we'll talk about the top row here. So this is like two modules that work together, and it's an effects loop basically. So it's a pedal send and return. So these are two of my random guitar effects that I've bought over the years of playing guitar. For whoever doesn't know, before getting into all this stuff, I've been a guitarist for basically my whole life, so I've collected a bunch of cool gear, and these are some of my favorite things. So this is a tape, well, it's an anything delay and a looper, but I generally use it for its tape delay setting, and then this is a crazy pitch shifting delay looper thing. So this is the Strymon El Capistan, and this is the Montreal Assembly Count to 5. They're both great pedals. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking the output of the plonk. I'm actually turning it down a little bit just because it's a loud module. Like all modules are loud, but even then, that's just for like internal mixing. And so I have it turned down a little bit, and then it's going into this, and basically you plug into this, and then you get these other input and output jacks, and you can send that signal out into your pedals, and then send it back into your case, and like keep the impedance working, which is great. And I love adding additional effects. So like, let's see, let me just do a little bit of you just get those nice things. Like my favorite, like tape delays are like my favorite sounding delays, because if you push up that feedback, and especially if it has a mix, you can just create a wash of noise in the background. And I just absolutely love that sound. And like that's like one of my favorite things. I literally have like this here, the Strymon timeline, and then on my board I have a Strymon El Capistan, which is just the tape, basically just the tape algorithm and some other things. And that's on my guitar board, and I absolutely use them both at the same time doing stuff like this. I'm just gonna let that keep going because I like it so much. And yeah, I'll show you what this thing does. So there's 3 different modes on it. One of the modes is like it'll kind of like sample the note, and it will play it back at like either faster or slower, so the pitch either goes up or down. So let me show you that function there. So I just have that going up 2 octaves. And it just adds, this is like, if there was a thing that like, not that I think that I have the most distinctive sound, But if there was something you were to pick that was to be the Ben Wilson sound, this pedal really does it, because it just like it adds what I like calling like little sparkles on top, which is like it literally feels like you're kind of like dusting, like just sprinkling something on top. It doesn't like, because of that mix, I keep the mix like probably just like mostly dry with just a little bit of that on top, and it just does something different, and I love it. And then it has two other modes, which are like delay looper modes. They're just mainly looper modes, and so you can basically like loop a very small sample into it, and then it will play it back at different speeds, and it's great. I can't get enough of this, and I know that there's different firmware for it out right now, and I want to get it and try it, but I literally want to get like another one of these because I want to have both of them at the same time. They're both so good. So I might do that in the future. I don't really have I'm kind of done buying gear for a good bit, because, everything in the world is going crazy, and I probably shouldn't just always throw my money away. But when I have the means to do so, I'm going to be probably getting at least one. I might get like 3. I don't care. They're so good. It's my favorite pedal ever. And of course I got it because I saw the Knobs demo of it and have not regretted it. But yeah, and then so that goes back into the case, and it's making all these sounds now. And then I just have a series of attenuators, attenuverters, mixers, whatever, and I use them for everything from like turning down a sound to mixing like subgroups, because I just kind of have a stereo out that I run through the clouds. So I'll do like subgroup mixing and everything, and then I'll send that out. And then the last thing is just the output module, where it takes the final out from the clouds, puts it into here, and turns it into a 1/4-inch signal that goes into my mixer. So yeah, that's the modular. I've talked for like 20 minutes about it, I think. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna like make an actual YouTube video, like kind of, more, we'll say better scripted, like kind of better produced, all of that stuff, because, obviously I'm very rambly if I don't do that. I'm very rambly when I do that. My last video was 35 minutes long. I'm aware of that. But to have like some sort of like a sketch out and walkthrough of this, I think people would enjoy that. But that's on the list of things that I need to do at this point, which just keeps getting longer. Also, I think it is key to note that the modular is a very small piece of what's happening right now. This is what the modular is doing right now. It's just that. And I think that that's like an important thing for someone who's like getting into modular, is that it is like super powerful, and like I could do an entire ambient set with just the modular. But like the way to look at it when you were, and I think that like this is the thing, when I got into modular, I was into like a world of like, oh, this is gonna be so great, I'm gonna have this like crazy machine that does whatever I want, and I'll be able to, it will be able to make everything and do everything. And like, yeah, that's possible, but like I don't have infinite money, and I'm aware that I'm also kind of young for the type of person who gets into modular, because a lot of people who get into modular are generally older than me, and it's generally because they have more money to be able to kind of like dive into a lot of this stuff. I was helping somebody, they messaged me on Instagram. I started helping them try to like plan out their first case, and they were like just kind of like, wow, this costs so much and I only have one voice, and it can not do too terribly much, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say here, other than like, it's really powerful, and I like it a lot. But like, I also like kind of have the thing of like, a little bit of tempered expectations is great with modular, because it can give you the world, but you need to put in a lot of work and put a lot of money into it, and you really have to understand what you're doing with it. So after living with this full system, I mean, with bits and pieces of this for over a year, and then this full system for the past couple months where I've been, spending a lot of time at home, it has made it much more powerful. But even if I had had the money to go out and like buy all of this right off the bat, and like this is what I started with, I would still be like, I would honestly be kind of kneecapped a bit more, because I would not have the chance to kind of use it to its full potential if I hadn't worked with each little piece to find how they work together. So yeah, and thank you for that. Yeah, it is like one of those things where it's like, you really have to buy carefully. And I think that like the thing that's important to me, and what I was telling the person, is like, kind of buy only what you just need right off the bat, because you don't want to like overbuy and just get a bunch of stuff that you don't really need, just because it like seems like a thing you kind of want. You really want to build your case tuned to what you do, but you also want to let your case direct which way you're going to build it. I think that's what I'm trying to say there, is like, pardon me, I just burped. Just a thought that I thought I had put together very well, followed up by just a disgusting belch. But yeah, so I don't know. That's just kind of my piece on like, it's great, and like, you could do a type of a set with just this, and there's a lot more I could do with this right now, but I really like using it in conjunction with other things. And I think that that's like, that to me is the key, really. Like, and I don't know, I got sucked into, I'm just going to start rambling at this point, because I feel like I want to talk. I have things I want to talk about this stuff. I feel like, so I got like sucked into like this one Reddit thread where this guy was like kind of talking about how he hated like kind of the sort of like hype around Groov Boxes right now, and like, how it's like, why would you get a little box that does an eighth of what your computer can do? It might be a little better streamlined for a specific thing, but like, why would you do that when you can, get a couple plugins, do all the same stuff? And like, it wasn't quite that, because they were like, obviously I love my hardware stuff, but like, they were just kind of mad at like the Groov Box world. I'm also going to switch to face cam on this, because it is so weird to just see my knee talking to you. But yeah, it was so like, he was talking a lot about Groov Boxes and stuff like that, and like how he just didn't kind of get the hype, and kind of I disagreed entirely with that, and kind of the reason for that is, I think that while it is like, the computer is like super powerful, and it's a great tool, there's something to me about the streamlining of a Groov Box, and specifically like, basically like, I look at it like a puzzle basically, and I like having lots of little pieces that can fit together to create something that is greater than the sum of its parts, if that makes sense. Because like, yes, I do think that the OP1 is like probably, or not probably, it's definitely priced higher than it should be, because the demand is very high. Modular stuff is priced higher than it could be, because it kind of takes a lot of know-how to make this stuff and produce this stuff, and it's a niche art form, so there's not enough like, money coming in to really even things out. People can't take as many risks there. So like, I get it. But I think that even with all of that put together, the things that they can do together, and how quickly you can put something together on the fly is, I I don't know. That's just really really powerful to me. And a good portion of that does come from the fact that I up until recently would not have said, like, oh, I'm an ambient artist first, or like I'm a electronic artist first. I up until probably like the past like 4 or 5 months would have said, like, if someone says, oh, you do music, what do you do? I would say, oh, I'm a guitarist. And there is something to that, like, tactile feel, the ability to hold something, the ability to, like, create something without that small amount of separation between you and the object. And I think that it's small. I think it, like, when you say it like that, it sounds like it's a very small thing, but it's really important to me. It's something that I find really powerful and really, like, moving to me is the interaction you can have with a machine. And is it like 80% or even more than 80%? Is it like 95 to 98% voodoo? Is it hi Flint? I didn't even know he was there. Everyone say hi to Flint. Is it like that much of a nothing, like in your head thing? Sure, but it still changes how I create in that scenario. And I think that that's what's important. Is I think that, like, I think missing the point with looking, it's like, I don't like this because I don't create like this. I don't understand this. It's like, cool, awesome. Make your own thing and do it your own way. I don't understand. I personally don't understand not making music. I don't understand making music without some sort of a physical tool other than your computer. Like, that's just, exactly, yeah. It's like that hands-on thing is like, it is a key element to it. And like, if it is a thing that does not matter to you, you don't need to do this. And I think that that's also things like, I'm not trying to, like, poo-poo that other thing. I am incredibly impressed by lots of artists who pretty much only make music in the box. They make music entirely, like, I mean, like, even like early electronic, I mean, like, Aphex Twin made Richard D. James' album. I believe he says he made it entirely on his, like, early Mac, that I might be wrong about that, but, like, and that's a really intensely powerful record. So I'm not trying to say that, like, there's that one is better than the other, but if you're a person like me who came from that physical background, like, the fact that there is that connection, like, I don't know, that matters to me. So that's my piece on that. I'm sure it's, like, not controversial in this small circle we have right here, I don't think that I don't think I'm going to get too much pushback in this area, but, there are other places that would disagree with me, and, I think that that's, like, that's cool and that's good, because I like making music the way I like making music, and I am consistently impressed when other people make music a different way. Yeah, I think that that's what it is. It's a lot more like, I think it is like nurture versus nature. It's like how it came to me, how music became my thing is it wasn't on the computer. And I'm getting into it more, honestly. Like, I kind of want to start looking at tracker programs, because I've been listening to a lot of IDM. So what do you do when you listen to IDM? You start looking at trackers. But, that sort of stuff's like still an experiment to me. So, yeah. Trying to think of what else I can do. I guess while I'm talking, I'll just kind of start spouting off kind of where the channel's going in the future. Because I really wanted to, at this point, have the second episode of the Beginner's Guide to Modular, because I know that's where all my new subscribers came from, which I'm going to leave this up on my channel, so if anybody's watching this after the fact, if you've somehow made it through my rambling, hi, again, thank you for being here. It's so cool that, you appreciate it. I've gotten so much good feedback off of that video, and like it's consistently growing in views, and it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, this is nice. There is like a small group of people who are looking for what I want to talk about there, and they seem to be getting something out of it. I'm getting distracted there. Again, thank you for everybody new who's here. But so there's kind of this thing that so I wanted to have the second episode out at this point, and I actually had some like really fun plans with it. I talked to a bunch of my friends. If you're still in Sam, he was at the beginning. If you're still in the thing, I talked to my friend Sam. I talked to my friend Tamir, my friends Colin and Phil, and I kind of got their like questions from like outsiders, like semi-outsiders to modular music or ambient music. Like, what are your questions? What are your like if you listen to ambient music, how do you like? I'm also gonna turn it down just a tad bit. I just realized I might be drowning my voice out a little much. But like what are your questions for songwriting specifically? Because that's kind of what I want the second episode to be focused on, was songwriting, and I got a lot of really good questions. And so if any of you are watching this, I have not forgotten. I'm working on it. I did have a couple of snags kind of coming my way, because like I kind of wanted the centerpiece of it to be like me discussing these questions with a couple of other ambient artists. And long story short, sorry, the cats have been messing with my giant thing of plants in the background, so I just need to make sure they're not knocking them over right now. But I really wanted it to be a discussion-based thing, and I wanted it to be like I talked to a couple of different ambient artists, and I got a couple people on board, which is awesome, and I'm very happy that they were willing to do some things. And then a couple snags came up, specifically. So one of the people is a person who is become a friend of mine on Instagram. She's an artist from, I can't remember where. She's near Brazil. I don't think she's technically in Brazil, but I think she's like right on the border of Brazil. And her name is Caminauta. She's on Instagram and stuff, and she's a great artist, and I was going to talk to her about some stuff, and then she has had a lot of work come in, like film scoring work and stuff, and so I think my video just kind of like, fell by the wayside, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I think that it's like, if you're, let me just say this, if you're doing film scoring work, and if you're working on your own personal music, that is much more important, and you need to put your time into that. So if you see this, there no hard feelings in any sort of way. I am honestly very glad that you did that, and I've enjoyed the music you've put out recently. But so I was going to talk to her, and then that sort of fell to the wayside. And I talked to a local artist whose name is also Ben, because there are just too many of us Bens in the world. And we had a really great chat, and then I turned off the chat, and I went to look at the recording, and it froze like a quarter of a second into it, and I don't know how it happened. It was stressful. It was really stressful. So the second episode is coming, is kind of what I'm saying, but I've been put kind of behind because like I've kind of had to adjust how I'm working on it, and I'm not necessarily starting from scratch, because I do have all of this knowledge that I've gained from talking to people. I have all these questions. I have videos of me talking with my friends about these questions, but I've kind of need to restart my scripting process, and that's more difficult right now. So, for those of you who don't know, I work a retail job. I am, like many ambient artists, I am not doing it for the money. I work a retail job, and because of the pandemic, I had a situation where I'm not going to go too much into detail. I don't want to talk anything, but I basically there was a potential incident at my work, and so I was given the opportunity, and I took it to take about a month off from work and just not be in that environment, and that was very good for me. And it was in that time that I started, I had the idea before, but it was in that time that I started scripting and writing and filming and creating those first episodes, and the intro in the first episode, and it was great and it was awesome. But those 30 days are up now, and now I'm back at work. And it's really hard to work on videos, one, because of the time commitment, and two, because of the energy commitment. By definition, I'm an introvert, and so working in a retail job drains my energy really hard. And then on top of that, well, thank you for the. I'm trying not to be hard on myself. I'm more just kind of talking this out because I'm not I posted the video and I kind of went silent, and I just kind of want to get set the record straight on where I am with it. But thank you. I will try to not be hard on myself because I know I tend to do that. So but yeah, it's because of that incident at work, I had all that free time, and then work's kind of come back, and it drains me a lot, and I don't have as much time, and I've kind of had to restart this process. So what I was hoping to do was putting out a video every 3 to 4 weeks in this series, and it's probably going to be more potentially every 2 to 3 months at least, because there are a lot of work in the videos. As you saw, the last one was 35 minutes long, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. It was a super fun experience to make it, but it was also a lot of work. I think I spent 4 days editing, which was insane. That's the longest I've ever spent consistently editing a video. Usually I'll just most of my videos, my performance videos, are one take, and I'll do some cuts in and out, but that's no more than a couple hours work plus rendering time. But that was days of making animations, cutting things together, and really constructing the video. And then I had put some days into scripting. I had basically shot the entire video once before, and then I reshot it because I realized my scripting wasn't tight enough, and I went back and I redid it. And believe it or not, yes, the original video would have been probably 45 minutes to 50 minutes if I hadn't done that. So, it is what it is. That's not, I wouldn't even say this is an apology for it necessarily. It's more of just a thing where I'm that's kind of where that's going in the future. I haven't forgotten about it, and I'm excited to do it more. I'm absolutely I want to kind of get back into it because I really have fun with all of it, but it's just, it's gonna be a little bit longer because, especially working retail during a pandemic. Working retail is draining enough for me already. Working retail during a pandemic is a whole different can of worms. But we survive. We get through it, and I'm hoping that as I figure out a couple other things, that the content will start becoming a little more consistent and out because I'm really excited about this next video. Oh, absolutely, go to bed. Go. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for all your support that you've been throwing at me for God, however many months. It's always good to see you in the chat. So peace out. But yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm at right now with all of this. I'm excited. I'm really glad at all the positivity that came out of it. I wish I could have put something else out by now. I'm sorry it's going to be a little longer, but I'm really excited for what it's going to be. So I can just hope that you're excited as well. So yeah, I think that's kind of most of my thoughts that I really wanted to talk out on this stream. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I wanted to address. I don't think so. I think that's about everything. Just a bunch of thank yous, a bunch of apologies because I am who I am. I'm gonna always say sorry. There's not a new thing yet, but look to the future and hope that there's some cool stuff. I mean, I know there's some cool stuff there. So yeah, my brain is dying because I worked today. So kind of my whole being is like, still kind of coming down from that. But I'm glad that I've gotten such positive feedback, and I'm glad that I got a bunch of people in with this. And yeah. So I'll leave it there. I won't continue to ramble about the same 3 sentences over and over again. Again, thank you to everybody new who's shown up to the channel. I guess we'll talk for a little more about how I just it's a pretty big deal to me. I don't know. Growing a following has been really difficult for me. I have a lot of trouble doing that. So I know 100 subscribers for some people are like I'll see people say, oh, I hit 100 subscribers in a couple weeks. In 2 weeks because I put it on Facebook and have my friends subbed, and then I made something really cool and a bunch of other people came in. It's like for some people that's really easy. For me, it's really a lot more difficult. And like my kind of end of year goal was, I was like, oh, I hope by the end of the year, I'll just scrape together 100 subscribers. And it's like end of summer, beginning of fall, and I'm already there. And that's like that's just, I don't know, that means a lot to me. So thank you so much to everybody who's shown up, and yeah, I will keep putting out content. I have the second episode of that. I promised people on Instagram that after I got 100 subs, I would do a tour of kind of what I'm using in my studio space, which is clearly my bedroom, in my plant propagation location. But so that's also coming. I'm probably gonna put that one out before I put out the second episode, because that video is just gonna be a little easier to do, a little easier to structure, because it's entirely opinion based as opposed to trying to get other people's perspectives on things. And then finally, I am probably gonna put out a couple performance videos, just to keep content flowing, because I like making those videos and they're pretty easy to make. In the sense that it's not like it's like, yeah, I just sit down and I just crank out a song, but more like once everything comes together, it's like 6 hours and I have a completed video. Like I make the performance, record the performance, edit the performance, and it's done. So those will also be coming. So definitely more of those coming. And yeah, I think that's enough. I think I can get myself off of this microphone. Can you tell I've been social distancing and staying inside because I talk a lot? thanks so much to everybody who, okay, my thing's still working. Thanks so much to everybody who's tuned in. Thanks so much to everybody who, watches it after the fact and doesn't, thumbs it down. And thank you to those who do thumb it down, frankly. Because I do deserve a thumbs down for the amount of chatting I've been doing. Yeah. Thanks so much. Talk to, oh, yeah, last thing. I stream on Twitch. I did this one on YouTube because there was 100 subs here. But I do actually stream on Twitch, like, probably once a week, once every 2 weeks. So definitely, if you're on Twitch, and you're looking for less talking version of this, where it's just me basically doing hour-long sets, go check that out. It's a lot of fun.